I don't know. I wonder if Brant did a stream this morning. I didn't see it.
He uploaded a video like 20 hours ago, calling the
Brant
shots
did.
or something. Yeah, I saw it on the homepage of the bike school.
Um, I really want to. I think about that because he's been doing one video a day. Most expensive BMX bike I can build. Source custom. Gonna have to watch that. But but he posts every single day for the last few years. Like he's got, I don't know, thousands of videos. And that's crazy to me. And one thing I noticed with mine when I was doing daily, they didn't get as many views as like if I switched and did every other day, and that second day gives it time, I think, to get some. And I think he would be better off doing that. I don't know if that's the case, but it was for me, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's like you know, when I did the like that 40 days of vlogging,
Uh huh.
I was kind of wondering if it was the same thing. And me and Mark and Sam Pilgrim actually talked about it like a couple years ago when we were all in LA with Lucas and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam kind of had the same thing. He was like, I think when you put out videos every day, you're actually just stealing views from yourself.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
you're basically, instead of allowing the views to build up and then putting out something else, people are skipping what you put out yesterday to watch what you put out today, or skipping what you put out today to watch tomorrow. So you're basically just
Yeah,
stealing views from yourself. Whereas if you put something out and then put something out, like it's give people time to watch it, then put out something else. The people who aren't going to watch it within 3 days probably aren't going to watch it, you know. But every
exactly.
day,
Yeah,
people are like, at that point, every day, people after like 3 days, they're going to be like, holy shit, I don't have time to watch 3 videos, so I just need to pick one. So
um,
it's a weird thing because it could go both ways. Just depends on how
yeah.
many people are willing to watch every day, I guess.
Exactly. And I don't think, like, you think about, I watched a video on it today because I was curious. But anyway, they're like, you think about your audience. And I guess if it's a lot of kids, maybe you do Fortnite content or something, they probably have time to watch every daily upload. But if you do stuff to like busy people, maybe once a week, like I find myself sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm bored. I'm going to see if this person has uploaded a new video or something like that. But if they did it every day, I'd just get so stressed out. I'd be like, I can't watch all this. I don't have time.
Yeah, overwhelming.
So, hey, this is kind of interesting. Brandt's video, the recent one, was about building a bike with Source's custom bike builder. Have you heard of that?
No.
I just went to it. Look, I'm going to put it on the screen.
Oh my god, is it what we were talking about?
I don't know, but this is bad news for me. So anyway, look, so I just added this frame and I put it right here. Okay, so we're gonna add some forks.
Oh no,
R25s,
this is literally what we were talking about doing.
R25 in chrome, pops it right
Oh,
there. Oh,
oh
game
no,
over. Source just won the BMX game.
dude,
Gold.
we were literally talking about this.
I know, that's crazy. Or how's it gonna put bars on without a stem? I wonder if they had got it like patented and stuff. Oh, Killaby bars. Yeah, yeah. Gold.
I wonder.
Wow.
I wonder. Is it a?
Look at this, Nick.
Did they actually side shoot every single item, or
I
is
guess
it just a template and the bars? Click on a different set of bars. Let's see if the photo actually changes or just the color changes.
um see, it looked like from the frame that here, this has crew on the
Yeah,
side. Let's see. That's
yeah.
perfect,
Give me
huh?
something with a yeah.
Bro.
Dude, I can't tell though. Is that an actual side? They put a lot of work to do that.
See, this frame's not showing up right, but this one showed up with the actual logos and or let's see the
So if
um
my theory is that if they don't have that side photo, it's not really going to show up.
yeah, because this one, it should be in this color and it's coming in as black. So I don't imagine. Yeah, you
So
think they did a photo of every single frame to purple.
See, I don't know if
Oh
they.
no, that's
I wonder what
crazy.
the like the coding is to line everything up, because there's, that'd be a lot of work to actually take a photo in the same, like, there's got to
Exact
be,
same.
you know what it is? It almost seems like it's probably very similar to using a Photoshop template with smart objects and masking. It probably like throws it under, which is could explain why maybe some of the frames don't line up, because of it seems like it's almost like a, oh, that's weird. That's complicated. That's very nice. Kudos to them.
Yeah,
That's
for
that's
real.
proper.
Good.
Like, that's literally what we were talking about, and my initial thing was just like, that would actually be really difficult.
I feel, yeah, I feel like it'd be almost impossible to do, because why hasn't it been done before?
That's what I'm think like. I think that's more what I'm wondering though. I'm like, if you change the frame, like you see how like you can see like the welds on that frame.
Yeah.
If you change the frame, does it actually change? Like, does the shape change if you were to do like a shorter, like, or is it just the design on it? That's what I'm curious.
I don't know. Sometimes what you think you're clicking on, their photos aren't right, because like this one was showing this frame, or this seat was showing this, but it's actually the black and white. So I had to go like that to do the camo.
Well,
Um,
give me
like you want to
show
change the
click,
length of the frame?
yeah, or change the seat. Like, maybe give me like a slim seat, or
Okay.
I just want to change, or that total hangover, the with
Oh,
the super low standover, something that like would look different. Yeah, the H4. Yeah,
we're
give me
doing
that.
it
Let's.
in dirty red in 21.
Okay, yeah, because that's a completely different shaped frame.
It doesn't look like it.
No, no, it's the exact same almost as the one before, but the welds
How are
are
they putting
different though.
how are they putting the graphics on there?
See, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's more of just a color and graphics on a font, because I don't think the shape of anything is actually changing.
Yeah.
Okay,
So a
you know what it
slim
is?
seat
Okay,
like this
so
one.
Doug, I got it figured out. I know what it is.
Did we crack the code?
Yep. So I know what it is. Okay, so um, basically, let me hold on. It's the same as when we make skins in MX bikes. It's the same thing.
Nerd.
Yeah, let me. And I haven't even done it, but I watched a video on how to do it just because I like learning things about different
It's
programs.
like in a 3D software, you just map it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna show you what theirs looks like, and then how it relates to probably probably a very similar thing as Source. So let's see. Let's say.
Ryan, what do you think? So Ryan's in here. Ryan says he's a web developer. One, Ryan, you got to help me out with the project. Two, how do you think this is working, Ryan? What's up, Raider Al? What's up, Jay? This is impressive, honestly.
Okay, so Doug, so in here, basically, if you want like an MX bikes, if you wanted to um, design your own uh, graphics, like for like say one of the bikes in there in the game, you wanted
Yeah,
your
yeah,
own graphics and number plates and stuff. Well, basically, so there's a folder for all the bikes in the game. It's templates zip because it's open source, and then you basically open up this. I could even just show you a video on how it's done, but it basically opens up this like the entire design.
yeah,
So for this, basically, if you took a frame and it's like a circle like this, and you opened it all up, it's flat.
yeah.
So it's like this design, and so like in MX bikes, you're seeing the entire like design of the bike, seeing all the number plates and everything, and it's all flattened out in one Photoshop document, and you can just go in there and it's all masked. So when you paint on things, it doesn't paint outside the lines. It only paints there. and then you can put your like different logos and text and stuff. And then they created, MX Bikes created their own software called Paint Ed. It's just painted, but it's Paint Ed. And that basically takes that flat file and turns it into the and maps it to like the 3D thing. And so I think that's probably a very similar thing. What they did here is that they pretty much went in for each part and enlarged the color and that to the same, template. They mapped all the frames to the same template, and then they're running it through a 3D software. And so you're basically changing the graphics just the way you change graphics in like Grand Theft Auto, where you paint the car or anything like that.
Right.
It's basically the same thing, where it's just mapping it to a pre-existing shape.
And still doing this, they'd have to have everything kind of vectored out, huh?
Yeah, and like there's, but luckily, theirs isn't moving, so they don't have to track anything or anything like that.
Well, that's what I want to see at the end. If we get different angles of it, like if it can, if we can, once we finish,
we can get like a spin around,
or if it comes up to like, if it calculated weight, that would be good too. It's like, hey, this build's going to weigh 24 pounds, 22 pounds. I think Ryan says pretty much the same thing you said. He said, I think it's wrapping the pictures of the product around a generic model. So it's not dimension perfect, but you're able to visualize it fairly well. This is way better than any bike builder. Those previous ones that you can just change the colors and stuff?
Here, Doug, I'm going to send you. Yeah. It's very, very different, but honestly, probably done the same, just with a slightly more time put into it. So like, Doug, I just sent you in the guest chat this video link. Just real quick, just click on it and just scrub through, and you'll see like at like 1 minute and 41 seconds, you can see like the full layout.
Right.
Wait,
you want to just put it on the screen?
Yeah, I can do that.
Then everyone kind of knows what we're talking about. I'm just building the bike. Oh, wow. Look, it's because of the cranks I picked. Wait, I got to show this real quick. When I go to pick a bottom bracket, it tells me, hello. If I pick like a 19 or 22, it says that it's incompatible because the cranks I picked are 24. So I have to add the 24. Wow.
That's awesome. See, so like there's definitely more going on. But as far as getting the image to look like that, like, so Doug, here, let me share the screen.
Okay. Ryan, I'll open it in 1 sec. We're going to look at this video Nick's talking about.
So can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So in this video, he's like downloading the Kawasaki template. And so see how in Photoshop, we have this like,
all those different, yeah.
So we have like the number plate and everything, and all this black you see is all masked. Like you can see all the layers here.
You can't paint on that.
No, so like if you were to like, and he shows you like, he comes in, he like paints red, and see it's even masking like finely like that, and then does like that, and then you go and you save it as a TGA file. And then you go into this Paint Ed thing, and it like maps it to all be one complete file. And then when you go in, it like maps the graphics to the bike. So like this is all mapped, but from a flattened file. Like So it's like, I think what's happening in that is the same exact thing, obviously it's above what I actually know how to do, but it is kind of the same concept, I think.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I feel like I'm pretty technologically advanced, but then you start talking about stuff like this and I just scratch my head. I'm like, how is this even like, how's this working?
Yeah, no, and like I said, it's done very well. It's just definitely, some kind of model. And then, like they built a 3D model, and then they're basically like texture mapping each thing, and it took a lot of work. This took a lot of time. It was a very expensive thing to do. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, when I say expensive, if someone did it in house, might not have been that expensive. But you know, if
Right.
they outsource this is not a cheap thing to create. But you know, the people who like do this stuff for free on MX bikes, they create all the bikes and stuff. Like they, it's things that they know how to do, and they can probably just whip something out like this relatively quickly.
Yeah.
It's the, but doing all the painting, but yeah, you basically just take the frame, take that color, put it in there, and then just make sure the logos are in the right spot. And then when you just click on that color, it just automatically shows it right there. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting, actually.
How crazy. Yeah. Ryan sent in the chat, he sent like a build that he did. So this build I got real quick. So this is it. And I guess you can't, like, it says our subtotal 1,500 pounds. That's good, but it doesn't have weight or anything like that. And then I guess we could just add it all to the cart. And that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's definitely a lot they could go, like directions to go with it, but it's um that's insane, I think.
No, I think
Anyway.
that's cool because, like, you know, yeah, in the past, you really just had to either just build it, or you had to just do the color thing. And then, like, because that's what I always did. I was just a powder coater. I just powder coated things, just bought the
Yeah.
parts that I wanted. And then if they didn't match, just powder coated. Um, but I think, it's cool. I think it's really cool. Do I also think it's a lot of a novelty? And I think most people are just going to build the bikes for the fun of it and never actually,
Right.
like, you know that most of the people going to be using it are going to be kids who are building bikes way outside of their price range, and
Yeah.
just to have fun. But it gets more people on the site, and I think that's
No,
all you need.
definitely.
It gets more people on the site, and you know, if someone builds a bike, spends an hour on the site just like messing around, and then buys a pair of cranks or something,
Yeah,
win.
yeah.
You know, it's a win.
Still a win for sure. That's
That's
because I was
cool.
thinking of that. I was all like, oh, this is gonna make it tough for other bike shops, you know, like now Source kind of just came out with this and it's gonna beat up a lot of shops. But then I was like, no, people are just gonna use it to build their bike and then still buy the parts from wherever they want. Like I don't think it gives Source any kind of like, oh well, I put this bike together on there, now I'm just gonna buy everything. Like they're gonna be like, oh,
No,
that's
like I said,
cool. And then
it's it's very rare. You know, I worked at a shop for a long time. It's very rare that someone buys an entire bike piece by piece and builds it. Like it might
yeah.
happen once a year. Um, generally, someone like me is putting a bike together like that because I'm getting half of the parts for free, or I'm using some of my existing parts and I'm just gonna buy what I have left to buy.
Right, right.
You know, like when I was riding BMX, I I did build, you know, most of my bikes from the ground up, but I still like would use the same wheels that I already had, or if
Mm,
I would use the same fork. Like I never like fully ground up built a bike. I would build a new bike, you know, with like 6 or 7 new parts, like maybe frame, fork, bars, cranks, but then use like other existing stuff. Um,
mm.
you know, because once you have a bike, you know, I feel like you're always kind of upgrading parts as you need to, as something breaks. And so,
Yeah.
you know, if you just in the last year bought a, you know, $800 worth of brand new parts, it's not likely you're going to buy the entire new bike.
Yeah.
I think it's just very rare that people do that. People who need an entire bike that don't have any bike usually just going to buy a complete.
Yeah, or yeah. I bought all my parts for it, but like you said, that's a really rare thing. And also, what I would have done in this case is I probably would have put the bike together in this, but then went somewhere where the parts are cheaper, or I could, you know, got better prices. And because when I ordered mine, I went to some shops for certain things and other shops for other things, and also they don't have everything in stock. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's cool, but like you're totally right. I don't think the percentage of people that click that add to cart button and then make that $2,000 purchase, not very many. Um, now, oh, Ryan, your thing just brought me to a blank build a bike page. It didn't show me your build, but that'd be a cool feature if they did that. It didn't work for me. And Jared said that on Brant Stream they put one together. It was $3,300, almost 3,300, the most expensive one they could build. Jesus Christ.
See, now what I will say though is it might become less rare for people to build bikes now that they can kind of see it beforehand, and you can actually like put a bike together and be like, oh, that's everything that I need, and buy it. But I still, you know, 2,500 is expensive for a BMX bike to just go out and build it. You know, like most people don't build downhill bikes from the ground up. They don't build dirt bikes from the ground up. Like I said, it's only select people or people, you know, who already have most of the bike. They're gonna build the rest of it. Or, you know, if I get free frame and forks, I'm not gonna buy a $1,400 complete to have other crap parts. I'm gonna have to buy everything else.
Did you see Nathan's comment though? I've been into BMX for a while, was riding for a bit, nothing too crazy. Just bought a custom bike off Source. Should be coming in tomorrow.
I'm eating my words already.
I know. Imagine it's like, imagine they've already sold like, you know, hundreds of custom bikes just because
you're just gonna see it.
Like,
oh my god, I can imagine all the conversations at skate parks. Dude, what bike is that? It's custom, bro. Source custom.
It's the Source custom. It's like, oh shit.
Like that was always my favorite thing. Like when people are like when I'm riding mountain bikes and someone's like, oh, what kind of bike is that? It's a Slater frame, but you don't really explain the rest of it. Like you don't say like, oh, it's this with Stan's wheels and it's RST4. Like you don't really say it. And that was like, you know, riding BMX. What kind of bike is that? It's a lot of things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you just you're like, well, it's this frame, this bars, this forks, and I do that now. I just tell them it's a Dougster Bob complete because I have Dougster Bob stickers on it. I'm like, oh, it's a Dougster Bob complete, and they're like, oh, okay. Like most people, honestly,
mine is a pink flamingo.
The flamingo. Most people, honestly, that ask you like, what kind of bike is that? They don't know what the parts are anyway. Like if you tell them, oh, these are profile spline drive, you know, profile spline drive sprocket. They're like.
I usually just say what the frame is, and that's it. Like I just say, oh, it's a Failure Maniac frame build. That's it.
Yeah, custom build. Flex the custom word on there a little bit. Ryan says that the functionality of the part compatibility. I agree. I think that's the big. When I saw that it said no, you can't use 19 millimeter bottom bracket, I thought. That's really unique that it does that. But
no, I mean, I think that's a complete necessity. I mean, imagine you had a bunch of people buying stuff that didn't fit, like it wasn't compatible, and like, you know, you'd end up like a bunch of mountain bikers where you're rigging stuff together because nothing actually fits anything. Like we have different width stems. So some stems are for like 35 millimeter bars, some are for 31.8 or 30.5 or whatever. I don't even know the sizes anymore. Like our headsets are all different sizes. Some are tapered, some are not. Like you have your cup size and your steer tube size. Like, you know, there's 30 different bottom brackets. Like, so different types of through axles for the back, different width through axles for the front, boost, non-boost, like bolt-on. Like everything is so particular. That's why it's hard to find stuff sometimes.
There's nothing like that for dirt jumpers or mountain bikes or anything, right?
No. Gonna have to do it. That would be really difficult though, because there's just too much stuff, like, and all the compatibility. Like that would be, I think, the hardest part.
Is the compatibility.
Also, most BMX frames are shaped very similar, so you know you can kind of get away with like the model not changing that much, you know.
True.
Whereas mountain bikes, they're all shaped entirely different, and they all have different suspension designs where like, so the frame is shaped entirely different. Like it would be for dirt jumpers, you can get away with it, but for anything else, it'd be really difficult. And like, you know, you've got a lot of wheels that don't work on things. Like it would be very complicated.
The suspension placement's different on different frames, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it completely changes the way the bike rides for sure.
What's up, Eat My Salt? How you doing? We got Tack in here. Tack just subscribed to us. That's dope. Thank you. Eventually, I don't know. You guys got any questions about bikes or anything? Or Nick and I are just chit chatting. Nick, look at this blister.
That's a blister?
Yeah, can you see
It's
it?
like a spider bite.
Oh,
How'd you get that?
well, crazy story. I've decided I'm gonna start sun tanning and to not be so white. And so I was laying out there yesterday, and like I bought this lawn chair, this tanning pool chair, and the sides are metal. You know, the things that you rest your arms on, they're metal. And so I'm laying on it, and I put my arms up against it just to like feel the sting. And I'm like, I'm gonna play a mental game with myself and see if I can just overcome it. And I'm like, it's not that hot, so I'm doing it. And then, like, I don't know, a couple hours later, I was like, what the hell? And I was like, there's a blister. So, like, it was actually pretty hot,
Burned
I
it.
guess. Yeah, I burned it. It's like, maybe it was hot.
Jeez. Not the smartest move, Doug.
Hey, you got a good answer on this Phillips question? Nick is the Dougster Bob for mountain bikes.
Let's see. Our mountain bike trails is in like there's like pedal trails, or like there's like dirt jump type trails, because your beginner mountain bike that you want to like ride jumps on, like actual dirt jumps, is going to be different than the one you want to ride like trails. So clarify a little bit on that, please.
Yeah. Trails or jumps? Or like, yeah, pedal trails or jumps?
I have a trick. I haven't touched it in years.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about.
Hold on. This guy says, wait a minute. Hold on. Will smoke any MTB on my 20-inch? The preacher.
No MTB can ever keep up. You hear that, Nick?
Are you talking like on trails, or like what? What do you mean?
Pedaling uphill? I think a good geared mountain bike would definitely win an uphill battle.
I think downhill as well. I don't think you would keep up with me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, having brakes is a big win. So yeah, Philip does dirt jumps mostly.
So Philip, I mean, a lot of the most complete dirt jumpers are pretty solid. I really like when I was riding, more complete bikes, the P series are really good, from Specialized. They make like the P3 it's a great frame. This is one Nikolai runs, and the whole bike comes with a pike, I believe, still. And then like Canyon, their Stitch 360 is a really good frame. It's a good complete bike. In like Europe, you can get a Rose Bruce. I don't think you can get them in America. I don't know. So probably not that one. Who else makes complete? YT makes complete. It's not an aluminum frame. I'm not a fan of non-aluminum frames.
You think aluminum's the way to go?
Aluminum's the way to go for a mountain bike for sure. It's stiffer. It feels better. And then you can go on Slater's website, and you can actually they have like builds. So where it's like kind of like a custom build. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than a complete, but it'll be nicer. And that's obviously the frame that I run. Let's see.
I like this argument about the racing. Red X says, is there a way to know if your bike's made from full chromoly? I think the best way is just, you got to look it up and look up the frame, and then, or the bike, and see what it is. I've heard somebody say you can like flick it and it sounds different. I don't know if that's true. Maybe my ears just don't work good enough.
It does, but it does. It's true, but it's not. You could like have two next to each other, and I wouldn't really be able to tell. Like, it's kind of like it's not. Yeah, it's very difficult. They do definitely sound different. I mean, you can hit it with a shovel and see which one breaks first.
Yeah, there you go. Do a stress test.
Yeah. Let's see. So Preacher says trails. I go uphill all the time. That's pretty savage if you go pedal up hills on your BMX bike.
With the 25.9, he's just
I don't like to pedal. So good on you.
The preacher's quads are this big. His quads are huge.
Dude, he even rode this morning in the rain. Like, I ride indoors.
Yeah, savage.
Good for you. Let's see. Got a complete bike back in 2011, Miraco SX Park. Miraco, I remember that. Took a beating. Spent 1,200 on the custom build. Race bike is aluminum. It feels fragile. Scared to do anything with it, but race. I mean, the race bikes are definitely built different. Like a BMX bike, the aluminum frame wouldn't do well. It's. I mean, obviously they race them like that, and they do the carbon frames, but and like downhill bikes like that we free ride on are often carbon or aluminum, but aluminum is superior when it comes to mountain bikes versus steel.
Why does BMX, like, if we rode aluminum, like, they'd break, right? They'd break so much easier. But how come in mountain bike world they last just fine? Like, you're still putting them under a lot of stress.
Hold on.
And race guys are using carbon and aluminum. And I guess, I don't know, carbon's making its way into BMX. Maybe BMX is just too poor to use.
So there's let's see. It's kind of like, it's mixed opinions. Like aluminum is stiffer. And so like a BMX bike would feel, that's why like they do race bikes out of aluminum. One, aluminum's lighter than chromoly, but aluminum's also a lot stiffer, and then carbon is even stiffer than that. And I just went to this thing and somebody's trying to say that one person's trying to say aluminum is less stiff, and they're just wrong. So chromoly without any suspension, chromoly's better, but also BMX bikes, it's too expensive to make BMX frames out of aluminum. Like your BMX bikes would be a minimum of $1,000 for every single one.
For frames, just the frame.
I mean, no, your frame would probably be like $400 or $500. I think my frame's only like $400, so it's not that much more expensive.
Yeah.
But
well, that's what they cost right now. Mine was $450 or so. Like, frames have gone up a ton.
I think it's probably just just a smoother ride, and it's you can have chromoly be thinner. Like, it's complicated, but I think really it comes down to the size of a BMX frame versus a mountain bike frame. You can make it the smaller frame out of steel or chromoly, and it's not as stiff, so it doesn't ride like crap.
This Jen Arnav Poe says suspension. That makes a lot of sense too. That you can do these big drops and this put the bike under stress in mountain bike, but the suspension's absorbing a lot of the impact, where the BMX is, well, the welds are absorbing the impact, I guess. But I think the price point, that's a good point too. Like, we don't want to spend very much money on our BMX bikes. And if everything went to carbon, nobody could afford to ride. I feel like everything needs to get cheaper to grow the sport. And it's already like as cheap as it can get without putting people like in danger. Do you see Ryan's question? Ryan says, I've snapped my peg side axle bolt completely off twice now. Hub is 14 millimeter female axle. Do you think I would have better luck with a male? Why does everything I buy break so fast? I watched Tom Dugan jump off a parking garage without getting a flat. I'm snapping cranks and axles. Product of sucking? Dude, that's tough. I don't know what you're buying. I ride my pegs on a 14 millimeter female axle, the front pegs. Right? No, it should be 10 millimeter. That's the smaller one, right?
3/8 in the front.
Yeah. So the only thing I'd say to check, Ryan, is that you're not using a bigger peg on that smaller axle on the front, because then the peg has extra room to move around, and I feel like that could break the bolt. But other than that shouldn't happen. I don't know. I remember your crank picture. because you just had it for a few days. I'm scrolling here to try and find it, and your crank snapped. And I was like, dude, that's not right. I think your weight plays a role too. I don't know how
Tom
heavy
Dugan's
you are,
very
but
light.
right, he's a tiny dude. Like I break a lot of parts too because I weigh over 200 pounds, and that plays a big role also.
Yeah, see, I'm like 145 pounds, and it's very, very, very rare that I break anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. But also, like, you know, it also has to do a lot with how you absorb things. Like, Tom Dugan wouldn't be jumping off of roofs if he wasn't able to like absorb it with his body pretty well. Like
The impact, yeah.
There's nothing on the bike that's going to do it. So, and obviously, yeah, I broke parts where like there was no way to avoid it. Like something was going to break, and I'm glad it was the bike and not me. But like, I think your weight's a big thing, and then obviously like, you know, which parts they are also plays a role.
Yeah.
You know, I think a 14 millimeter axle is stronger, but my problem with an actual axle versus female bolts is that the bolt breaks. That's one thing. If your axle bends, like it's kind of ruined. You can always get a new bolt, but also one thing you don't see with Tom Dugan, like you don't think of, is like how many new parts does Tom Dugan put on sometimes. You know, like, you know, you may see him and, you know, he doesn't get a flat tire, and then those cranks may have bent, and then by the next clip, there's new cranks on the bike. You know, you don't really know that.
Yeah, true.
Because, like, you know, as when you're riding for a company, it's like kind of like 101. When things break, you don't show it. You don't show when things break, or you try not to give a lot of attention to it, because, you know, you're trying to represent a brand. You're not trying to show it all messed up.
Right. Well, and that's why most pros will build a new bike like every year, you know, close to a year, completely fresh parts, even if stuff's not broken, just because for the company, it's worth sending them a new bike every year. That's worth it, because having them crash in front of people because of a part failure is like really catastrophic to the brand in a sense.
Yeah, and they, you know, the brand doesn't want you representing like old, worn out stuff. You're representing them. They want you to have nice looking stuff. Like you're a walking advertisement, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Ryan, I'm 220, and so we're close to the same weight. And like I've broke cranks before. Usually it lasts a few months, but it's part of the game, you know. Just make sure you're getting heat treated, higher quality stuff, and but it's gonna happen. Like parts are gonna break, especially for people over 200 pounds. It's just happens, man.
Tack ass if you're chugging moonshine.
Nah, dude, that's the first drink of water I've had all day, and it's already like almost 2 o'clock. So I just carry around this gallon like a total douche, and just drink out of it wherever I go. No moonshine for me. You want to go through some of the bike school videos?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna check out posts in the private Facebook group from our members. Some of them, they are asking for advice, but a lot of them are just kind of showing the progression this last week. It's been really sick. So here we go.
Now it does look like the top.
Who's in there? Are you?
My mom is talking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, your parents.
Yep.
Okay, so this Chuck posts a lot of good stuff on here, and he's not asking for advice, but he makes a really good point that I think a lot of us can learn from. Anyway, he just says, I realized this morning that if you can 180 and fakie on flat, you can almost certainly 3 to fakie. And if you look at how he's going at it, he's carving it pretty wide. So it's just an over rotated 180. So any of you guys who can 3 to fakie can definitely do this trick if you have a nice mellow bank. Just look at how he's approaching it. right here. He's nice and wide, and then it's like a 180 and catching the fakie there. So that's something fun that you guys can try if you, if you're feeling crazy.
That's how
Nick,
I learned 3 to fakies a long time ago. It's just like you just treat it like this, and then you can like sharpen the angle as you get better at it.
Yeah. Start with a little bit less than a 3, and as you get better, do a full 3. That's the only I can truck to fakie fairly well, but like a hop truck, there's no way. That trick is so hard.
I haven't done a 3 to fakie in years. I think maybe the occasional game of bike I might have to do it, but I haven't done it in a long time, I don't think.
We gotta get together, bring the BMX next time. Bring the BMX, bring the mountain bike. Okay, Tyler's riding dirt. I don't know if we've seen Tyler ride dirt yet.
I think it says first time riding dirt.
Oh, does it? I didn't even read it. Anyway,
Jesus.
But he's said feedback appreciated. Oh, he's on a big bike.
Yeah, he said first time riding a dirt jumper outside of a parking lot.
Wait. Let's restart.
You gotta read it.
Let's restart. So Tyler says, pretend we haven't seen this before. Tyler says, first time riding a dirt jumper besides at the parking lot. Thanks to Jason for letting me ride your bike. Any feedback, welcome. Okay, so this is Tyler's first time riding a dirt jumper on here. This is sick. And
this looks like a dope spot.
What do you think, Nick? Everything flowing right? His pumping, his jumping?
Perfect. And the scrub on soaking up that jump that's straight in front of the camera was good because he was going way too fast for the jump. And it was perfect.
This one right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he would have popped, he would have landed flat. So that's like good control right there.
Right. Look, he came off and then like just let the bike.
Yeah, just let it go. Like that's what you need to do sometimes. But still standing up how he's supposed to, still standing
when
up
he's
properly throughout that transition, and then just bending the knees and like bringing his butt down to like minimize the height right there. Like, so when you look at that screenshot, like someone might think like he's trying to lift the bike up to him. He's doing the opposite. He's bringing himself down to the bike, which creates like the same body position. Yeah, he's going up and then he's bringing his body down to push down into that landing. Solid. Very solid.
Your pumping, is it, I think the jumping video, but in the jumping video, you talk about how dirt jumps, if you imagine a middle in there, you know what I mean? And imagine that you're just scrubbing over it. Like that motion, it's exactly
like
what
a roller.
He's doing.
Yeah.
Like if this was a bigger roller, his tires would be right there going over the roller. Like it's absolutely perfect how you would scrub that. Okay, another chuck one. Just flow in the bowl.
Looks like a fun bowl.
So what's, you guys in the chat too, I'm curious, but like what is the hardest part about airs for you guys? So anyone in here who can or can't air, like what's the hardest part? But for you, Nick, what's the hardest part?
Well, I mean, so for me, I would always rather air a bigger quarter. I think a bigger quarter is steep. Well, to me, steeper is easier, but also like, you don't want 4 feet and steep, so you just land flat.
Right.
But to me, like, a 7-foot quarter is solid, but like 8, 10-foot quarters, 9-foot quarters, they can be pretty steep and like almost get to vert at the top, because then you can pretty much just go as fast as you want. And what you have to do with your body doesn't really change. Like once you figure out how to air and land high up, you just go faster and you're just doing the same thing. And the quarter is naturally sending you straight up and you're coming back down. And so you can just add speed. And, if you're confident, like the 9-foot quarter at Woodward, like I can pedal into that as fast as I could possibly go and, be okay. But for me, like something that's like 6 feet tall, that's not that steep, the faster you go, the harder you have to pull. And so that's what I think is the hardest part about airing a quarter is one, figuring out how hard you have to pull for different quarters. But then once you figured that out, you know, actually physically being able to pull hard enough on a mellower quarter to get height and not case. Like I max out on like, you know, a 6 or 7 foot quarter. I max out at like 4 or 5 feet out, because if I go any faster, I don't have the pop to not case often. But that's what I would say is the hardest part, is like just learning that, like judging how much to pull based on your speed and the quarter. And because it's different always, you know, like a quarter, you may be going slow and you don't pull at all, and then you go twice as fast and you've got to pull, you know, really hard on the same quarter, and then you hit a different quarter in the bowl and you might have to push through that one. And like, so like every quarter is different, and it's like kind of learning to, you know, adjust your pump all the way up. And that's, I would say, the most difficult part is figuring that out.
So we'll talk about, I pulled up your 2014 edit just so we can answer Salt's question, but see, your background on it's way different, because for me, the hardest part is like mentally carrying the speed that I need to get the air. And so for me, a smaller quarter, I'm like, oh, cool, I don't have to go very fast and I can max out the quarter, because you really can't go very high on a small quarter. But getting the speed to air like that Woodward 9 foot, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm going way too fast. But you never are, right? Like you said, the quarter does all the work for you. You just have to go into it with the speed. But I'm always like, I don't know about this. And that's what, so feedback for Chuck, the only thing really is Jason says go faster. And I think that's pretty much, if Chuck, if you want to air it higher, that's really what you have to do. Like your form is solid. And let's see. All you gotta do, man, go more speed, more power. Because you're doing the motion right. So I think you add some more speed in there, you're gonna be solid. Do you agree?
I'm trying to find I totally agree. I was trying to find this picture for you.
For me?
Because we're talking about quarter airs. Yeah, I was gonna put it up here, but I don't know if it's on my computer. It's just a Mega Ramp Air photo. Let's see. Might be on my Instagram.
Salt says, Nick, how much background do you have in BMX, or do you only ride mountain bike? So funny story, Nick and I both rode BMX at the same time, and we were sponsored by like a little clothing company, and that's how we kind of met. And it was really interesting. But Nick was definitely way better than me. And but so I'm gonna pull up his Mega Ramp edit just because that'll be a fun one to watch.
Okay, hold on. Before you pull that up, I just wanted to show this picture. I like this picture. Look, let me share this screen real quick. It's just a photo. I just want to share it real quick. Share screen. Chrome tab. Instagram.
How long you grew up racing?
Yeah. For a couple years, yeah. When I was like 9, 10, 11. Yeah, this is a cool photo. I have a big printout of this photo in my house. It's pretty dope.
So how'd you Photoshop yourself in there?
Cody did it.
That's sick, dude. That's super sick. RIP Mega Ramp.
Yeah. Super sad.
Okay, here we go. This is Nick. It's a real quick video, but we're gonna watch it just because this is a good edit, I think.
On the BMX.
On the BMX. The pink BMX.
Dropping.
That's a scooter term. What's Satterfield up to? Just disappeared.
But someday, baby, you ain't worry my life anymore. I get satisfaction everywhere I go. Where I lay my head, that's what I call home. Where the berry pines, all the busy stale. Take
Got the pegs on. What was that?
Castrol. You
Very
should
dope.
share that link in the chat. It was a little choppy in case anyone actually wants to like watch it
Oh.
in high quality.
Oh.
That
Anyone
was
wants
like
to watch it better
2014.
quality? It was,
Like
yeah.
8 years ago. That's crazy.
Way back in the day. Sebastian Smith. Yeah, anyway, that's crazy. What was the hardest trick on there for you?
The double flip on that ramp is ridiculously hard. I landed on my head
Yeah.
the first time.
Really?
Yeah, I tried it like a couple weeks before. It was like my second time ever riding the ramp, and I had done one double flip to the resi in my life, and I thought I could double flip
For
the
real?
mega ramp. Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Uh,
And then so I did that, but no, like I mean, that was only like the second ramp I ever like flip whipped or
yeah.
cork 7 to like. I pretty much just went to the mega with all those things. Like I'd never done a front flip no hander before ever. I just did it there because I figured it would work. Same with casserole, never done it before.
Because you had
It's the only
more
place I've
time,
ever
you
done it.
figured like you said, hey, I guess all I got to do
Yeah,
is
it's like
take my hands off.
like a big snowboard jump. And it's funny because the front flip no hander is the only trick in that video that's on the 60 foot. The rest of it's all on the 50 foot ramp.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that was on the 60 foot ramp, and I've never jumped the 60 foot ramp straight. The first time I did it, I front flipped it, and then I did like 4 front flip no handers, and then I didn't jump it again. It's the only thing I ever did on it.
The front flip kind of would just push you through it, so it probably help
Yeah,
out a little bit. Still
you just
scary.
roll. Like when I was riding that ramp, every time I'd ride, I would never, after the first like 2 times that I ever jumped the mega ramp, I really never straight jumped it. I would front flip it first go from like every session. The first jump of the day, I would front flip it, and in a session you only get 8-9 jumps on it because it's a lot of energy. You only like, and so that video was 2 days of filming, and the cork 7 I think I crashed on 3 times. The double flip I landed first go while we were filming. A few weeks prior, when I tried to double flip, I landed on my head. The casserole, I think I got wrecked on a lot of times. And then the flip whip, I did like 4 of them in a row for that video to get the different angles. And then same with the front flip tuck no hander, I did like 5 or 6, I think, to do that. I got yeeted on one of the front flip tucks. I over rotated a little bit, ended up doing front flip no hander, land to front flip again.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. That's such a good edit.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
All right, cool. Any questions? Anything else we need to talk about?
No.
You guys want to watch me pop this blister? Just kidding.
No,
Gross.
definitely not.
Yeah, when I went to that mega ramp, in 18, somebody brought it up on the live stream. I think it was Jared on the last one. I like just kind of looked at it. I was like, all right, this is cool, and but seeing it in person, it's massive, and you don't try, right? When you're popping off of it, you don't pull back or anything. You just kind of let the ramp, you have the speed for it, and you let the ramp do its thing.
Well, when you're jumping it, yeah. And so that's the weird thing about it, though, is when you're doing different tricks, like flipping backwards on it and flipping forwards, you're kind of going with completely different speeds. Yeah. And you're popping like entirely different. So anytime I was doing like a front flip trick, like, when I just, front flipped it for the first couple times, you kind of just like roll, right, and you're kind of just like looking, and you just kind of like look, and then you like tuck in. But when I was starting to do like the actual like stretched out lawn darts and then no handers, like you go in almost a little slower, so you can actually like, you don't lean back at all, but you like compress down so you can like pop up. And then with like with a regular flip, you're just like kind of leaning back over the back wheel, but then when you're flip whipping it, you're kind of like giving a pop almost
to have a little extra height.
Yeah. So it's like a little bit different. But what's cool, which is, with mountain bike lips, when the lips are so much more mellow, you're generating a lot of the tricks off of the takeoff with your pop. And when the lip is really steep, you're doing kind of the opposite. You're almost like pushing through to get all your tricks done. So on the mega ramp, it's kind of just like, I mean, yeah, you can just full on like sit into a flip whip and just like sit down and like whip. And I think that's probably how I did the first couple.
Yeah.
But once you get comfortable, it's popping a little bit that gives you more control. Like, because you still need to be able to set up for a trick. So you still have to like, get yourself into the right body position.
It's the preacher asked if you ever touch your brakes on the ramp.
So depends on where you start. If you start actually on the roll-in, which I never did. Like that's not how I ride the ramp. Like in the beginning of the video, you see me say dropping and I roll in. If you roll in like that, you have to actually like brake drag down the first little part and then kind of just go. And every time it's slightly different. So I would actually start right below it, come in, and I would take like 2 cranks and pedal basically to this tree. I had like a tree marker and then tuck. And that gave me much more ability. Like I could do like a lighter pedal or a heavier pedal instead of just trying to like judge a skid, because you have to full on skid. And they're all like that for each ramp. If you go in the roll in, you skid. Whereas like when I would go from the 50 to the 60-foot ramp, I would just add another half crank and be fine. And so it was a better way of doing it.
It's more measurable how many cranks you're doing versus how long you're holding the brakes.
Yeah. And then, I would land, and then, I would brake a bit. When I was filming that video, I'd brake a bit into the quarter. Before they took the ramp out, when I was riding mountain bike, I could jump, I could like flip the gap, and then I could land no brakes into the quarter. But I wouldn't pump that hard, but no brakes. If you jump to 50, carve across, land, no brakes, and just cruise up into the quarter, you get about 14 or 15 feet out of a 24-foot ramp. Like that photo that I showed was probably no brakes.
Yeah, you just cruise into it. Did you because like that at that time, those tricks you probably could have been competitive at X Games, yeah?
Yeah, but it's the quarter is scored so heavily.
That's what I was gonna say. You don't trick the quarter though.
No, I've flared it like at coping once.
Yeah.
And I've done like no handers and stuff, but no, unless you're gonna do a 15 or 16 foot like triple down whip air or like a flare double whip or something, you just can't compete with those guys. Like the quarter is where you get your points. Like I mean,
okay.
Like I don't know if you saw recently, Morgan Wade shared like a slow motion video.
The one-handed double. Yeah, dude, his hand is off the whole time. Like how you could beat that on a quarter, I don't even know. Or James Foster doing like bar spin to triple down whip. Like you could do a freaking quadruple backflip double tail up on the gap, and then straight out of that quarter you lose. So, and when you fall on the quarter, like when you fall on the gap, you land with so much momentum, you just slide. Like there's no impact. Like your skin will melt off, but that's about it. You crash on the quarter, lights out every time. Unless you're Morgan Wade, he's like the only one that doesn't go lights out. Everyone else, like if you've watched a mega ramp at X Games contest, I mean, how often does somebody crash on the quarter without just, if they slide out, that's one thing. But how often do people crash on the quarter, like an actual crash, and just pop right up? They don't. The medical comes out and they go to an advertising break.
Yeah, no, because you come down, if you go 15 feet out of that ramp, you're coming from 35 feet in the air, 40 feet in the air almost, straight to your body. It's not soft.
What is it, like 10 foot of transition? Of like, just straight transition?
It's 8 feet of vert.
8?
Yeah.
And so if you're 10 feet in the air and that's 8 foot of vert, you're falling 18 feet before you even catch anything. And that's assuming you don't pull off an extra foot or two and just all the way.
I have a clip somewhere, and like, a sheet of skate light is 8 feet. And I would sometimes like you go up the ramp and you're trying to do nothing so hard, and right when you take off, you're like, oh, I might case, because you're like pushing over the edge, over the deck hard. And then as you start to come down, you're like watching the skate light and you're like, okay, I'm missing that whole sheet. And then you keep going down and you're like, yeah, I'm missing that whole sheet.
Like, 16 feet.
So you land halfway down the ramp, and there's still 16 feet of ramp left, you know? It's hilarious.
Do
It's,
you're
like, funny.
when you're coming into it like with that speed and stuff, because if I'm flowing around the park and I feel like I'm going pretty fast, like into a corner or something, a lot of times my legs want to buckle, and I know if I didn't have the strength that I do, like my legs would buckle. And like I imagine coming at that quarter, like there's so many G's you've got going on with that speed that your body just kind of wants to give out, or no? It's
No,
not that
it's
bad.
no, because it takes so long. Like,
It's real gradual.
you ever like rode it with the kids?
Yeah.
You know how when you pedal into it, like you kind of don't know if you're gonna make it all the way up or not.
Yeah.
Like you kind of, and so I always say, like, airing that quarter like a foot or two out is the scariest thing in the world, because at the bottom you don't actually know if you're gonna make it all the way or not, and then you like kind of hover up in the air around the coping and you kind of feel off balance. When you go, like, how it feels to air, you know, let's say like a 7 foot quarter. I mean, okay, a mega ramp quarter will never feel like a 7 foot quarter. That was a bad analogy, but when you go fast enough to go like 10 to 15 feet out, you can actually, when you're at the bottom, you actually know you're gonna come out of it, you know, and so you're actually able to like give a little bit of a pump, but the transition is so long that it still just feels like you're just on it, and you're kind of like doing nothing. Like it doesn't, it's not G'd, whereas like that berm at the Taj, it's so tight and you're going so fast that like sucks you in. You don't, if it was a sharper transition, you would get that, but it's not sharp enough to feel like that.
Okay. Yeah. When you said it like that, like you're thinking, I guess the amount of time it takes you to go from the bottom of a 7 foot quarter to where you pop out is close to the amount of time it would take you to go from the bottom of the mega ramp to the top if you're coming into it with all the speed that you need to get a proper air. So it feels more proper, more comfortable, because it's just like airing a normal quarter. The size is just doubled and the speed therefore has to be doubled.
Yeah. I would say it more relates to like a 10 foot quarter or like the vert ramp.
Yeah, something a little bigger.
A 7 foot's always going to feel just you know, super tight. But it's just, it feels the same. Like the vert ramp is the same way. When you're riding vert, if you are just getting like 6 inches to a foot out, it's really sketchy. You don't really know how to pop or how to push. It's not until you're getting 4 or 5 feet out that you can actually feel the way the ramp wants you to ride, you know?
Right.
So it's like, you know, a lot of people think vert ramp is scary, and it's like, it is scary, but it's scarier riding it at a foot out than 6 feet out, because you're not, like, it's not working. Like,
man, that's crazy. So anyway, Salt, Nick rode BMX back in the day, and yeah, cool, guys. Well, this was super fun. Big shout out to Ryan and everyone. I mean, everyone that was in here. Ryan, Tack, Salt, the Preacher. Yeah, this was good. Nick, you got anything?
No, I'm good. Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.